Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jonathan, and today I just want to introduce myself again, and that way you guys can get to know me a little bit better, and that way you guys can have some ideas of what questions to ask me about the things that I've been through. I graduated high school in 2010, and then I started going to college. I went to a community college. I got a associate's in aviation back in 2013. I worked for TSA for about a year and a half. During that time, I was going to college, and I was trying to figure out of what I wanted to do after my associates. My original goal was to be an air traffic controller, and I was looking at schools that can offer those trainings. I was looking at the FAA just to go off the street and go into training into Oklahoma. The process to get selected for the FAA was a little stringent, and they basically prefer people from the military or people from college, and then basically anyone who worked for the federal government, and then off the street. So to increase my chances, I was looking at college degrees, and I was looking at Embry-Riddle at that time because they had a bachelor's of air traffic control at the time, and that way you can get hired with the FAA a little bit easier. It would put you at the top of the selection board. Looking at Embry-Riddle, it was really expensive. It was like $40,000 a year, and I was like, I don't have that kind of money, and I don't want to be in student loans for the rest of my life. I started looking at other options. During that time, I was going to college, and my professors were very into the community. So one of them was actually the wife of the chairman for the Houston airport system. She took us on tours at the airport, at different security centers and stuff like that, just to get like public tours for the sections that we were doing at the school. So during that time, I got to meet a lot of air traffic controllers through her, because she would take us on field trips and we would just go and talk to air traffic control, for instance. Also, during that time, I was going to church, and my youth leader at that time was a air traffic controller herself. So she has some information to give me, and she's kind of the one that kind of got me into the idea of air traffic control. During the time, I talked to them, and they basically told me that the military was a good way to go about it because they would pay for your training. So I started looking into the different branches, and I ended up going with the Air Force. I started talking to the recruiters. I did all my tests, and I qualified for everything. But at the time, my recruiter did not have any air traffic control slots that month. And during that time, I was just like graduated out of college, out of my associates, and I just wanted to get out and pursue my career. So I decided to go into the cardiopulmonary career field in the Air Force, which is the 4H field. Since I had college credits, I qualified for the 4H career field. And I was like, you know what? It'll get my foot in the door. It'll just get my ball rolling of federal time. And then that way I can just transfer within the military from medical to air traffic control. After I was done with all my training, which is like 2 years because it's a long training for the career field, I didn't want to go back to school again and go back to air traffic control school for 2 more years. So I did a 6-year contract, and I was like, I want to do something with my job. I'm tired of being a student. So I focused on the respiratory therapy. I became a CCAT respiratory therapist, which is the critical care air transport team respiratory therapist. And during that time, it was around like 2017, I went to the validation process, and I got validated for CCAT. And then an opportunity came out to deploy in 2019. I got to deploy in 2019, and I got to hang out with a lot of pilots during that time. We were doing some medical missions, and if we didn't have any patients, I was able to talk to the pilots and get in the cockpit during takeoff and landings and such, you know. Just being around the plane, around aviation again, it kind of got my interest back up to aviation. And I started looking for what things can I do and how can I be a pilot at that point. I was looking into the drone pilot program in the Air Force. I was looking at commissioning, but the thing is I didn't have associates. I had to finish my associates first. And in 2020, I got to deploy again. So I went to spend more time with them. And, you know, I talked to a lot of them, and a lot of them were reservists. So looking back at it, I had to make a decision, and I decided to get out and go part-time military and full-time school. I got out in 2021 after my deployment. I started at the Air Club at Eglin Air Force Base. And basically they had a couple planes there. They had a couple instructors, and it was also VA approved. So that's why I wanted to start there, because I could use my military benefits to pay for some of it after my private pilot license. So after a little bit of time there, I did some training, and I just decided that it wasn't the best for me. I started looking for other programs that could be more accelerated. And I started just looking at Instagram, and I found the Aviate program from United. I was trying to see which airlines had a cadet program, and then I found the American Airlines cadet program. I applied to it. I got accepted. I moved over to San Diego. And I've been doing the American Airlines cadet program since then. I got my private pilot license. I got my instrument rating, and I'm working on my commercial license. My goal is to be a commercial pilot. I also want to be a reservist pilot in the Air Force. I would like to be a C-17 pilot. I'm working towards my bachelor's, and that way I can apply to the commissioning program and be a C-17 pilot, whichever base accepts me at that time. So basically that is all my story from high school to today. So it has been a long journey. I've been in school since 2013 and on and off. If you feel like you need to get there tomorrow, you don't need to get there tomorrow. But if you have any questions, or if you'd like me to answer some questions, leave it in the comments. I'm going to start making some videos about the student pilot life and getting some information out there. That way people looking can have some information when they're trying to decide what to do. I'm in a unique spot because I have the military also helped me pay for stuff. I have tuition assistance. I have the GI Bill. And also I have a decent career that I got throughout the military. So if you have any questions or you have anything else that you want answered, let me know. Put it in the comments. I'll be making more videos about the student life. And hopefully it gives you some guidance on which way to take or which way works best for you. So look at the links below, subscribe, hit the like button. If you have anything else, leave it in the comments like I said, or email me or anything like that. You could also find me on Instagram. Have a great day.